Colin Corby, what is your life's purpose?
So my life's purpose has changed as I've got older. So I was a technologist and I spent 30 years in technology companies. And it was an event that happened in my mid-30s. I worked for a technology company. I was working on projects which are world first technology projects, worked with great people, worked in London in the UK. Very, very exciting times. And I forgot to look after myself. So I suffered stress. But of course, nobody talked about stress in those days. And so what happened was I was spending all my time at work. My heart rate would increase to the point where I started to see stars and I passed out a few times at work. So pretty
Few
serious.
times.
Yeah, pretty serious stuff. So I had some tests and of course nothing came up. And I thought, well, I have to do something about this because I've got to work. I've got a family. I've got a house. I've got to do all those, boring things. And so I decided that the only thing in my control was to get fit. Now, I remember being, in my mind, I remember being a great swimmer. So I went to the swimming pool and I swam 50 meters of the swimming pool and I was wrecked. Absolutely wrecked. But I had to persevere because I had to do something.
Hmm.
So, and the reason for doing the exercise was I wanted to train my heart so that it was more resilient, because that was the only thing I could think of. And so I started to get fitter. And as I got fitter, obviously the heart gets fitter, and my resilience to stress increased. And then, so I had no more problems with heart rates at work or passing out. So I thought, well, this is really interesting. But I started to enjoy sport. So I took lessons to learn how to swim properly
Hmm.
with all the strokes. And I did that for about a year and a half. And then I started racing, masters swimming racing, which is over 25s. And then I met a triathlon club and they said, you could swim with us, but you don't have to do the cycling or the running. I thought, great, because I'm really not good at cycling or running. But unfortunately, they lied and they entered me for a triathlon. So I got into triathlon and I thought, well, while I'm here, I might as well do some what used to be called Olympic distance triathlons, but they can't use that because that's a brand name now. So standard distance. And then I ended up doing 4 Ironman triathlons, which is the ridiculously silly ones. But during that whole process, I realized that the way that the mind and body are connected. So if you want to improve how you think, then you can work on your body and vice versa. And the way that you think affects everything that you can do. And it's once you get into that, you think, oh, I wonder if I can do this now then, just by thinking positively about it and doing the necessary training to be able to do it. So that's how I ended up doing the Ironman triathlon. But because, in a sense, I had to keep fit in order to be able to do the jobs that I did, it became part of my life. So I was a technologist and an endurance athlete. And then around about 2010, 2015, like a lot of people, I found I was spending a lot of time on my laptop and smartphone. And I
Really,
was,
that early on?
yeah, because the iPhone was launched in 2007.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit late, 2010. But certainly I'd been using Apple laptops since 1985. So using technology, well, I was a technologist. Of course, I'd love technology. I'm going to use it. And so I was spending so much time that I was starting to struggle to find time for training. And I thought, well, hey, we've been here before. I've got to, get this back in balance. And isn't it interesting why I'm on my phone or why I'm on my laptop so much. So I did loads and loads of research into behavioral psychology
Hmm.
and why this might be happening and the psychology of the mind and consciousness and just about everything. And so in 2018, I launched the Digital Detox Coach because I love technology. I love endurance sport and sport, the mindset of an athlete. And if I could fall into the trap of spending too long on my smartphone and laptop, then it must be possible for everyone else to fall in the same trap. And this was slightly ahead of the curve in 2018. And so I had a chance of leaving the corporate world, leaving all the technology companies to do what I really enjoy doing. And so then I went full time on being the digital detox coach, writing, talking about digital detox and the balance of we've got to live and work online in this modern world, but we've also got to balance that with being biological humans. So my purpose is to be able to communicate and help organizations and people, professionals achieve that balance. But it's going to be hard work in the same way that training for a marathon is hard work.
What a big answer. Many, I think, depending on who you're asking, some people would describe your story as becoming the hero after being the villain, first completely doing all the technology stuff and then going into the other side, or depending on who you're asking, you're doing it the other way around. But of course, there are influences from our smartphone and all of the other stuff and technology that come into the household or came into the household in the last few years that have a big impact on especially young people who
Mm.
I would say are not learned to discipline themselves. Talking about myself,
Mm.
I'm not disciplined enough to get my screen time below 4 to 3 hours a day, and I hate it. But when I have time in the day and I don't know what to do, it lands on doom scrolling on any of the four big apps. So, what impacts can this excessive screen time have to a brain, and what can it have to a very young brain?
So there's the general case. We create technology to make life easier,
Hmm.
and everything becomes easier. But as biological humans, there are certain things that we have to do for ourselves. For example, we have to sleep. If we miss a few nights sleep, we are wrecked. We just don't perform. We get ill very quickly. We have to have good nutrition. We have to move about. We have to socialize because we're social creatures. So there are all these things that we need as human beings. And the mistake that we often make is that we often think of ourselves in terms of the latest technology. So, we think of ourselves as software and hardware. No, it's not like that at all. We are fully integrated. The heart pumps blood with oxygen in, it goes to the brain. It's totally, totally integrated. So for all of us, the downsides are if we spend too long on our phones and it interferes with our sleep, our ability to exercise, then there are long-term implications. So, for example, certainly in the UK, and I'm guessing that Germany, Western Europe, the USA are the same, that by 2030, which is not very far away, we'll be 30% less active than we were in the 1960s. And
Hmm.
that accounts for as many deaths, 1 in 6 deaths in the UK, as many as smoking. But the problem with things like that is that they take time. They're not instant. So if you step out in front of the car, then the car's going to hit you. That's an instant feedback. But with a lot of the things we do online, it's very, very gradual. So for
Hmm.
younger people, not moving about when you're young, when your bodies are still growing, when you have that capability, that you're building up resilience. If you neglect that, then you won't be able to call upon that resilience when you're older.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, new. I have a new fear from now on. So, you definitely get me into doing a bit more sport, but at the end of the day, I get the cardio in, I get the fitness in, I get okay nutrition. Who do I lie to? But I get nutrition. One day it's very good, another day it's another story. But also, you are at work, you socialize with people, but still, there are too many hours in a day sometimes where you just want to wind down, or you had a very
Yeah.
stressful day and now you just want to, yeah, do nothing. And then you actually do nothing for 4 hours, but scroll on your phone. How can you counter that? What can be healthy alternatives for that? Should you just always go to the gym as soon as you want to pick up your phone?
No,
Because that,
whatever. We're going to talk about digital detox, and digital detox is an enabler for you to do something else. That's the purpose of it.
okay.
So if it's very easy for all of us to pick up our smartphones. If you've got nothing to do, we pick up our smartphones. And then it's very easy because it's so exciting. There are lots of great apps. There's videos. There's more than you could ever wish for is on your smartphone, and you can doom scroll forever. And there's nothing wrong in entertainment. There's nothing wrong in checking your phone, amusing yourself for a period of time. The only time it becomes problematic is if you spend too long doing that and it stops you doing something else. So if we take one case, the US Surgeon General issued a report a couple of years ago, and it was about the loneliness epidemic in the US, but it equally applies to the UK and Germany, perhaps not quite so much. And it raised the question that we're the most connected humans ever because of our technology, but there's a loneliness epidemic. Now, why is that? And the reason is that online communication isn't the same and isn't instead of real connection with other people.
Hmm.
So if you're looking at your phone and doom scrolling, you're doing that really as a solitary activity. You're doing it and you're shutting out the rest of the world. So if there are other people in the room, they might be doing the same thing and you're all isolated, you're not connected. So that's one of the side effects of being able to miss. If you message someone, it's very safe. You can say anything you like and there's distance between you and the next person. If
Hmm.
you meet somebody, you don't know what they're going to say. You've got to work it out. You've got to work out, do they look happy? Do they look sad? Have you offended them? What are they going to say? How am I going to respond? There's all of that complexity associated with communication. And when I was young, it's the same the world over. I wouldn't say, in English, we say boo to a goose. I was quite shy. So you try and avoid those things. It's only when you get much older, or whether you're a runner or you've got a dog, you end up saying hello to everybody. Okay, so technology makes things easier, but as humans, we shouldn't have things easy all the time.
Yeah, step out the comfort zone pretty much is the
Yeah, yeah. And
quote
and
for
and
that.
and the other thing is now we've got AI. I did the TEDx talk, and the title was "Are We Losing Our Identity to Technology?" And it was conceived just before the launch of OpenAI's ChatGPT. But I was aware of AI and imagined some of the implications. So for younger people, it's so easy to find something out on Google. It's so easy to ask ChatGPT or any of the others, do me this email, do me this short report, read this report for me, give me a summary of this. I'll send out this. It's so easy. The danger is that if we outsource our knowledge and skills, then we don't have those skills for ourselves. And that's going to be a really, really big problem, where you've got people that are dependent on technology for their day-to-day lives, more so than ever before. And if you're dependent, then you don't have agency. You don't have as much ability to control your environment. If you don't have agency, that causes stress. Because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, evolution likes us to be able to control our environment, likes us to be um, connected with other people, and it's all to do with safety. And so we become more stressed. And if you have more stress, that has long-term health implications as well, both physical and mental.
Yeah, and also a fact that you talked about earlier is the loss of sleep because of the
Yeah.
phones. For very very many years, everybody believed that the blue light of the phones before going into bed will, yeah, hinder your neurons and all of the chemicals to really make you feel like in sleep at the moment. But now I think at the moment a recent study suggested that it's not the blue light or any of the
No.
light. It's
I
just having all the activities
Yes.
and all of the dopamine hits that get you out of you need to sleep right now.
Yeah. The blue light, there is some basis for it, but I never worry too much about that. It's the overstimulation. So, for example,
Yeah,
if you watched a horror movie just before you wanted to go to sleep, it's going to take you a little while to come down from that and go to sleep. It's overstimulation that is the biggest problem.
mhm.
But interestingly, it's also the first thing in the morning. If you turn to your phone first thing in the morning, when you've had a good rest, when you've got your most energy, when you can think about what are you going to do for that day, if you pick up your phone and you start scrolling, news is always bad, social media, it impacts the day that you're going to have. So it actually gets you from both ends.
Yeah, guilty on that point. On all of those notes, it's really the best days that I have are the ones where I don't pick up my phone after waking up. And most of the time, it doesn't happen. But most of the time, I can't think of any reason to get out of bed, and it's just one of those days. So everybody needs or will be struggling with this problem in one way or another in their future. Are there some simple steps that you can give us to, yeah, start with digital detoxing?
Yeah. So the first thing is a digital detox can be as short as 20 seconds if you're resting your eyes from staring at a screen, to a week away in nature without any online technology, and everything in between.
Hmm.
The best thing that we can do is protect your sleep. If you have your smartphone near to your bed, the mere presence of that smartphone will exert a cognitive load. You won't consciously realize it, but because it's there, then you know that you can pick it up. You know that you can access all of those things.
Really?
Yes.
Alone the presence of it. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And because
Okay.
it's within easy reach.
Yeah.
So, one of the easiest ways to spend less time on your phone is to change your environment. So you take away the things that might trigger a behavior. Now, you do have to solve the alarm clock problem, but you can put your phone the other side of your bedroom. You create friction. So it's great. Or you can charge it in another room. So you change your environment and you remove the things that will trigger a behavior, because over 40% of what we do during the day is automatic. It's on autopilot, but it's triggered in many ways by our environment. So what we all need to do is put a sort of a pause in that, which allows our conscious part of the brain to sort of kick in. And then we think, well, do we really want to do that? Is that
Hmm.
something we want to do? And if you create friction, I experimented on myself. So I started off putting the phone at the other side of the room, but I found I could get up and still access it.
Yeah, it's crazy what we can do to get around it, right? Also, the same with the screensaver, or the Apple has this function, or this
Yeah,
also feature that when you are too long for it, you can just block it for 1 hour or something like that. So you've been 1 hour on Instagram, and it actually warns you that you only have 5 more minutes on that app, and you just do those 5 minutes, and then it shows you that you don't have any more screen time on that app for that day. And it actually was so easy for me to just say, nope, don't got the code. Okay, yeah, send me the email, and just completely worked around it. But before, I did all those troubles to get to my mom and tell her the codes, forgetting it myself and all of that stuff. Just with one email, I got around it and had 3 to 4 more hours on the same
I know.
app. It's
The,
insane.
the solution for digital detox has nothing to do with an app on your phone. The phone is the trigger. The phone is the problem. It doesn't matter what Apple or Google or anyone else does. It's still the trigger. I ended up charging my phone downstairs. So in order to get to my phone, I had to get up, go all across the house and go downstairs. And that seemed to do it for me. And also I solved the alarm clock problem. If you're working on something, if you're studying or if you're at work and you don't want to be distracted, same thing again, you change your environment. So you put your smartphone away from you,
Hmm.
so that there is some friction for you to go and get it. So it's all about environments. Also, when you're studying and at work, you have to create, and you're online because we're always online on our laptops. You create lots of 10 to 15-minute breaks during the day, which are offline breaks. So when you go for your coffee, instead of, if you're on your laptop, if you go for your coffee, instead of reaching for your smartphone, you create that as an offline, and you go and grab your coffee, and you go and talk to someone else if they're in the kitchen. Or you make a telephone call, but you use voice.
Hmm.
So in the hierarchy of communication, you've got physical communication, which is at the top. And then you've got, I think they're about the same, video and voice only. And then you've got the sort of messaging and things, which is not great communication, really. So you create lots of offline opportunities. And what that does, and there was a great experiment by Microsoft Research where they looked at back-to-back video calls. And they found that if you ended up with back-to-back video calls, apart from not being able to prepare for the next video call, you basically took the stress from one video call into the next one, and you got this build-up of stress over the day, and you took that stress home with you. But if you added a 10-minute or 15-minute break between them, the body naturally started to reduce that stress before going into the next video call. And they actually included a feature in Outlook where you can actually put these 10 to 15-minute gaps in order to
But
be able to perform better.
is that actually an advantage? Because you have some call it stress, some would call it also focus. You know, you're completely focused, you're laser in, you're going from project to project. Maybe it's different calls on the same project, and you're just in it. And then for me, at the moment, it would seem like going cooling down for 10 minutes wouldn't be the thing I want, because I want to have the same focus that I had in this call at the end. I want to have the same focus in the next one. When we don't call it stress, of course, when it's not
So,
stress, it's a whole nother
so this
story.
is where you have to remember you're a biological creature.
Hmm.
And in fact, we're all athletes. I like to use the analogy with sports and being business athletes. Now, sports people, apart from sleeping well, getting the right nutrition, all those other great things, they can't train all the time. They can't hit the top performance all the time. We can't focus on one thing all the time. So we have to have breaks. Now, it's worth mentioning at this point is the human brain can't multitask. Okay, then you can't use the same neurons for more than one task at a time. Multitasking causes stress. So focusing on one thing at a time is the most productive thing to do. It might seem counterintuitive, but it is the most productive thing to do. You'll get more done with less stress. All the research points to that.
Mhm.
Gloria Mark did a 15-year study on attention and attention spans, and there's great stuff in there.
Okay, so let's imagine you made it. You have now physical friction. Your phone is not always in your near area in grab distance or any of that sort. You are not as much on the phone as you were before, but still there are things that come up in the evening. Your mom always calls around 10 p.m. before you want to go to bed or any of that sort. Is all smartphone or all digital screen time, is all of it bad always,
No,
or are
no.
there just
we
little
we
things that
we
you can
have
do?
to live with technology. It's
Mhm.
impossible not to. Um, so, but the thing is, technology is a tool, and we've forgotten that it's actually an incredibly useful tool because it's mixed up now. It's a useful tool. It's an entertainment facility. It's also has all of these other features. It's got its camera, it's got our music on, it's got everything. It's almost saying to us, you can't live without us. But actually
Mhm.
we can, because it's just a tool. So if you need to use your phone, or if somebody wants to call you, you want to be contactable, if you're in your home, you don't have to have it with you. You can actually put it somewhere. You can hear a mobile phone from another room. It's not, they're not quiet things, are they?
Yeah, but now there is another problem with that, because as soon as you turn the volume on and everything, you will also hear all of those little spam things, all of those emails that you don't really need to read, all of those notifications
Yeah,
from the apps that you don't really need. What do you do with them?
so you can do, I've got something called a just one thing challenge. If you pre-plan something consciously, I mean, I'm in the England, so we check the weather. Who knows what it's going to be tomorrow? So my just one thing challenge will be, I'm allowed to do one thing. I want to do one thing. I want to check the weather. How many times have you gone on your smartphone thinking, I'm just going to do this one thing? And you end up doing everything else. And sometimes you forget what it was you went on your phone for. And that's a function of short-term memory because so the way to get around that is to pre-plan. So I want to check the weather. That's the one thing I can do. So that's my challenge. So I've pre-planned to do one thing. I may be successful or I may be unsuccessful.
Mhm.
If I'm successful, great. If I'm unsuccessful, hey, my phone got the better of me that time. I'll do better next time. You never beat yourself up about these things. Um, but it gets you into the habit of relabeling your smartphone as a tool to help you, as opposed to imagining it's an extension of yourself. But it isn't, because it's a way that the global technology companies and the app developers get access to, and marketeers get access to. So it's not really our device. It belongs to all of the companies that we happen to have purchased the phone from and got all the software from, because they give us that for free because we're the product that's being sold to the advertisers. So that's basically how it works.
Yeah, I think that is the perfect sentence to conclude it. If there are people right now in the audience that see themselves in some of the descriptions that I made throughout the episode and feel like they need to change something at their current state, where should they go to see you, the digital detox coach?
So I always laugh when I say this because we all have to be online to live and work in the modern world. So I would say the website, which is the digitaldetoxcoach.com. But I've also got a monthly article on Substack.
Hmm.
And this month, as in January the 1st, has a 5-day digital reset challenge. And it includes protecting your sleep, protecting your day. It includes the just one thing challenge and includes the breaks, and it's free. So
So
if you look me up on Substack, then it's the January issue. It only comes out monthly because if I if I put too much online, then I'm part of the problem, not the solution.
yeah, I understand. Okay. Yeah,
So
that makes
it's
total sense.
monthly, and it's got each month there's some thoughts and ideas about certain areas and some challenges, and it's free.
Perfect. So you out there can do your first challenge. You can now open your phone only wanting to go to that Substack. Thank you so, so much, Colin Corby, for your time and giving us all of that advice for free.
It's been lovely talking to you.